So let's look at some of the physics of the wheel. Some of it you might not know. Let's say we're going along on our longboard or skateboard at a certain speed. What is the speed of the different parts of the wheel relative to the road? So let's say we're going 10 miles an hour. So we're skating along on our longboard. Top of the board is going 10 miles an hour. What speed are my legs doing? Well, assuming I'm not moving on the board, I'm not dancing around, then obviously the speed of my legs would be the same as the speed of the board, 10 miles an hour. So what if we look at the axle right in the middle of the wheel there? It's connected to the trucks, which is connected to the wheel. Surely that must be going 10 miles an hour as well. And that's right, it is going 10 miles an hour. What about the top of the wheel? Well, you think as it's all connected, and the wheel must be going around at 10 miles an hour, as the board's going along at 10 miles an hour, then that must be going 10 miles an hour as well. Actually, it's 20 miles. The top of the wheel, whether you're on a bicycle or a skateboard, is actually going twice the speed. So what about the bottom of the wheel? Well, the bottom of the wheel is actually not moving. And that's not obvious. Let me try and convince you that that's so. So the summary is, if you're going along on a skateboard or a longboard, say 10 miles an hour, the main axle is going 10 miles an hour, the top of the wheel is going 20, and the bottom of the wheel is going 0, which is kind of a bit confusing. Now, they have to be different speeds, and the reason is that if you imagine going along on your skateboard or longboard and you twisted into the road, you did a slide, so that now instead of going along the road, you're right angles to the road, then the wheels would stop and everything would slide together. If you did that, then everything would be going the same speed. So if you turn the board around and slide on the road, it's a very good way if you can do it with stopping, then obviously each part of the wheel will be going the same speed as the board and as you. And if you're not at the same speeds, then you're going to come off, of course. So that's the only way that all the different bits of the wheel can be actually going at the same speed. You can think of the problem as a bit like a stick. If you had a stick on the ground and you let it fall, then the top of the stick is obviously going to fall at a certain speed. Halfway down, it's going to fall at half that speed. Quarter way or 3/4 of the way down, then it's going to fall at a quarter of the speed. And there's going to be a bit at the bottom of the stick which actually isn't moving, which never moves. So you can sort of think of the wheel, if you like, as a stick that's constantly falling away. And it's very good. Let's just go into a little more detail about that. Obviously, the reason why the wheels move is because you're moving the board and because the bottom of the wheel is touching the road. So as you move the board, it forces the wheel to turn. So if you imagine a wheel has a certain speed, it's going around at 10 miles an hour, which is true, but the velocities add and subtract to the board velocities. So if I show you on this final diagram, if you imagine that the skateboard is going in that direction, say 10 miles an hour, then the top of the wheel is also going at 10 miles an hour, and they add. So the top of the wheel is twice the speed of the board. And then at the bottom here, of course, the wheel's going around in a different direction, if you like, to the board, and so they subtract, and so you get no speed at the bottom. If you think about it, if you imagine a wheel on the surface of the road, the bottom of the wheel, of course, is in contact with the road, so it can't be moving relative to the road. It's just falling away. If it was moving, it would be a bit like in a car when you put your foot on the accelerator and it skids, and then it would move relative to the road, then it would skid around. But then, of course, you'd lose tons and tons of energy in the friction of the thing skidding around. So this is what makes the wheel rather beautiful, that actually the contact with the road is not moving. So you get very little friction there. And then if you can have some nice bearings on the wheel, of course you can make a super machine which allows you to move heavy objects very, very easily. If you want more information, please go to my website.